Thank you for joining us for the Q&A of Am Greta. I'm so happy to have here with me the producer of the film, Cecilia Nessen. Hi, Cecilia, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you so much for being here with us virtually. We're so excited for this film. It's a very important subject matter, especially now with the situation being the most dire it's ever been. You have previously produced multiple award-winning films. What attracted you to this project, and how did you get involved in it?
Well, it was actually a friend of Nathan, the director, who also knew Greta's family. And this friend told him about this young girl that was sitting outside the Swedish Parliament making a school strike. And Nathan got this news on the very same day that Greta went out on her first day of school striking. So he just took his camera and the bike and went down there and saw her sitting there by herself and asked if he could film her. And she said yes. And we also talked to her parents, and they approved, and so he started filming, and he showed us the material after that day, and we were like, this is something very special, with this very young person taking such a strong political stance, and we didn't know what it would turn into, but that it was something very special we knew. So we just agreed that Nathan would continue to film her, and he did, and steadily more people gathered, and it became a bigger thing. And then just a few weeks later, she was all of a sudden a big celebrity and a leader of a climate organization. I mean, the Fridays for Future. So.
Nathan's previous documentaries often explore environmental issues. Was this a point of connection between him and Greta?
Yes, I think for sure it was. I mean, Nathan, he's very young. He's only 29 years old, and he was 27 at the time. But his previous production was a series about the Swedish meat consumption. And actually when that was released just before Christmas, the sales of Christmas ham went down in Sweden. So he has a very deep interest for the climate, and I think that was what Greta felt when they first met. In fact, he has a climate anxiety just the same way that she does, and I think that was what made them connect in such a deep way that they did, and so yeah, that was very important for him being able to follow her and being such a close part of the family, or being very close to the family, and going on all these trips with Greta and her father through Europe in electric cars and trains.
So he shot most of the film, right? There was, I'm assuming, a very small group of people that were present, just based on how the candor of the film and how intimate.
Yes, that's right. From the beginning, it was a budget reason. We didn't have a big budget, almost no budget, and that's why Nathan, went there himself and didn't have a sound technician or another, DOP or anything. So Greta actually made fun of that when we had the premiere in Venice in September. She she said that she thought it was quite unprofessional, actually, when Nathan came completely alone without sound technician or anything. But it turned out to be a good thing, because it created a really intimate relationship between him and Greta and her father. And so, I mean, we just kept it that way, a small bubble of the three of them going on these trips. And whenever we tried to take in a sound person, it got a bit weird, and the atmosphere changed a bit. So for the intimacy of the film, I think it was very good to have only Nathan doing all the work. But I think that was quite hard for him also, carrying all the stuff, and it was a bit, a backbreaker for him. And also during the boat ride over the Atlantic and so on. So.
Yes, for sure. Was Greta at all reluctant to be a part of the project at any point during the shoot?
No, well, I guess it's a yes and no answer. She said yes directly, but in fact, she does not. She doesn't want to be really in the limelight in the way that she is right now. She wants everybody to talk about the climate and not about her. And she keeps coming back to this. But she realizes that for people to talk about climate, she needs to be like a vehicle, so that people discover this very important subject that should be on top of everybody's minds, really. So it's like she does it because she has to, not because she wants to.
And the film spans about a year and a half, and it's quite a meteoric rise from her striking by herself to being twice nominated now for the Nobel Peace Prize. What were some of the challenges or surprises you had along the way?
Well, I mean, challenges, I guess, the fact that there have been so many high expectations on the film. It's like everybody wants their version of Greta, and that has been a bit daunting, actually, and to deal with as a filmmaker, and also the fact that Nathan was so alone during the filming process. I mean, I'm used to being more a part, on set and more present, but instead he sent home the dailies, and we discussed regularly, and I think those are the biggest sort of challenges. And of course the boat ride, that was when Greta decided that she was going to accept the invitation to the UN. They were like, yeah, but we're not flying, so what do we do? And then we together sort of talked about different alternatives, but the only way of going there without emitting climate pollution was by sailing boat, and to go over during the summer is not what you do normally, because the weather is too bad, and there are storms, and it's just too dangerous. So that was a tough decision for all of us to have them go and to have Nathan go. But the crew was very experienced, and they've done that a lot of times before. It was, we decided to do it, but it was very a nervous period for all of us.
What was Greta's reaction to the film? And you had mentioned earlier Venice, and it dawned on me that Venice was one of the very few festivals that had in-person screenings. Was she there for the premiere? And
no, she wasn't. She was. She's back in school from. I mean, she took a gap year last year to be able to do her activism, but this year in September she went back, and it would have taken her a week by train back and forth, so she couldn't go. But she joined by Zoom link, so that was great fun. But she feels that the film is a good, a true portrait of her, which is for us was a very important thing. She describes herself as a nerd, and that's something that comes out in the film. She really loves when people are talking about the same issue that she's interested in, and this is a part of her Asperger's, that she really hones in on this subject, and she wants to talk about it and think about it all the time. And she's also very funny, and that's something that doesn't really come out in the media. She's seen as this very sort of upset and angry teenager that is scolding world leaders. But she has so many other sides, and she's funny, and she's, you know, she has a great musical ear. She has a perfect pitch, and
Wow.
yeah. So there are so many sides to her, and at least a few more of them are present in the film than what people can see in other media.
What is it about Greta that you think resonated so intensely with people around the world?
Well, I think it's her ability to be so direct and so deliver her message in such you know, efficient way, that and that together with her being a minor and a child, those two things I think is what's most important, and the fact that she, you know, that's also part of her having Asperger's, that she doesn't she sees things in black and white, and she just couldn't understand why people were saying that they cared about the climate but still would go to Thailand, you know, fly to Thailand. So she has discovered these discrepancies that we're all sort of a part of, and she points to them in a very clear way that makes people sort of, I think, look at their own behavior and question why is this child you know, taking this responsibility that we should be taking.
Exactly, well said. I'm wondering if the pandemic has affected her activism in any way, or how has she adapted to these new conditions?
I mean, yes, of course. Since the Fridays for Future movement and the school strikes was that's, you know, a very sort of physical thing. People turning out on the streets, and the big, you know, the power in that, in those 7 million people that were out striking in September 2019 for the climate. That's of course been, you know, couldn't be done because of COVID. It's been, you know, taken to social media instead, that have been a very important, you know, way to come out with a message instead. So of course, it's, I think, the movement has come to a halt a bit, and that's what we're hearing as well from all the different organizations, that now they're like, okay, what do we do next? What's our next step? So because we started this movement, but where does the movement go from here, sort of? But now, since a few weeks, they have begun to strike again. Greta and the Fridays for Future movement. So it's coming back with you know, strikes on with social distancing. So it's coming back, and we're also hoping that this film can help sort of reignite this movement again, so that people, yeah, get inspired to go out there again and hold their decision makers accountable for what's happening in their lives.
And because we need to wrap up soon, this is the first time the film is being seen in the US.
Yes.
What do you think? I mean, you see with the record breaking fires and everything that's going on, this is a situation that's at the forefront of the discourse right now. What do you think are some of the steps or some of the things we need to focus on?
Oh, yeah, that's a big question. I mean, I think it's just that, to continue to have to have it on top of one's mind, and to keep having it in the, you know, public conversation, so that it can be a big part of the election that's coming up as well, because it's you know, it's an issue that is very present in everybody's lives, and it's also a very unjust. It's also hitting people very unjustly, and yeah, I think we need to take responsibility for the way we consume, and so as not to waste resources.
Is Greta still hopeful? She had that
Oh.
quote that she had that quote that after a crisis you come on better on the other side. And I mean, we've been through once in a generation type of crisis right now, and we're still going through it. So
yeah, you know what? I mean, although COVID is a huge tragedy, when it comes, it does show that politicians can act very strongly and to make very hard decisions, and to make big changes when they acknowledge that there is a real crisis going on. So it shows that they could also do this for our biggest challenge right now, which is the climate crisis. So in that sense, there is that has given her some I wouldn't say hope, but maybe a flicker of hope that
cautious optimism.
Yeah, exactly. That things can be done if we just want to.
Absolutely, and very well said. Thank you so much, Cecilia, for being here with us.
Thank you.
We appreciate you
pleasure.
sharing the documentary with us.
And I just hope that you will enjoy the documentary. Thank you so much.
Thank you.